Chairman of the Madurai branch, Mr. Raj Jagdishan, Mr. Khan, they are past chairman if I am not wrong. Yes. There are many other dignitaries sitting in front of me, but to cut short, so I am not taking them name. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, friends, regarding amendments, some important amendments, starting from, which is very important. I am telling you, you have understood that, but there are certain implications of that also. You remember, there is period of holding for calling it a short-term capital asset or a long-term capital asset. Normally, if it is held for not more than 36 months, we call it as a short-term capital asset. Held for more than 36 months, we call for a long-term capital asset. Yes, for 12 months in the case of shares, listed shares, securities, bonds, etc. And last year, if you remember, for unlisted share, the period was also brought down to 24 months. What is the change this year? The change in this year in section 2, clause 42 is saying that in the case of immovable property being land or building, you will call it a short-term capital asset if it is held for not more than 24 months. Meaning thereby, now if you hold it for more than 24 months, it is called long-term capital gain, where it was earlier 36 months. Everyone knows that. But let us come to the implication of that. What is the good advantage? You can sell it after 2 months, 2 years, no problem. I'm taking you to section 54. What does it say? Any capital gain arising to an individual HUF from the transfer of any residential house property taxable under section 22 shall be exempt to the extent such capital gain is invested in the purchase of another residential house property within 1 year before or 2 years after, or in the construction within 3 years. Everyone. What is there is, now you can sell it after 2 years, there is absolutely no problem, it will be a long-term capital gain. Coming to the proviso, provided that the new house property purchased or constructed cannot be transferred within a period of 3 years. If you transfer that property within a period of 3 years for the purpose of computing capital gain, the cost of acquisition shall be reduced by the amount of capital gain exempt earlier. And since it is within 3 years, it is a short-term capital gain. Am I right? Wait a minute now. Suppose I have sold a house property. Now you can sell after 2 years. I kept a capital gain, I invest in another residential house property. Exemption. But wait. Lock-in period is 3 years, as you have already mentioned. But suppose I want money and I sell it after 2 years. What will happen? The question is, the cost of acquisition shall be reduced by the amount of capital gain exempt earlier. Okay. Now the entire is capital gain. But which capital gain? Will it be short term? No, it will be long term now. It will be long term, not short term, because I'm selling it after 2 years. Lock-in period is 3 years, I'm not denying. But even if I need money, I sell it after 24 months, I get the benefit of long-term capital gain, and long-term capital gain is allowed to be indexed also. So double advantage of indexation as well as postponing my capital gain of the earlier at a later stage, but still it is not short term, it is long term. It's an advantage. It is an advantage. Similarly, the situation in 54F, selling anything, buying a house property, and you can not hold it for 3 years, doesn't matter. You sell it after 2 years, there will be long term capital gain. Coming to the next, I'm taking only the important ones, and I would like to see, you know, in this country, gift tax was abolished way back on 1st of October 1988. What was the reason for abolishing that? They said you have your white money, you have paid tax on that, and after paying taxes, if you give that to anybody, why should there be a double tax? It should not be a tax there. But after the abolition of this gift tax, what happened? People took advantage of that. People started giving gifts. We know that nobody makes a gift to anybody. We know that. Not even the brothers also. No, you won't give your brother also. You won't give your sister also. Yes, parents have to give to your children because they have to make them. And there is one unfortunate person in our country, part of India, I don't know whether here or not, the father-in-law has to make a gift. Nobody else make a gift, in this. No one else. But here, Ramlal is making a gift to Suleiman. What a national integration, Criminal. You people say there is no problem. Absolutely. Salma B making a gift to Krishan Kumar. Wonderful, yaar. What is it? They are making a gift. National integration. Why do you call about communal harmony? There is absolutely no problem. Because gift is not given here. Gift is taken. Nobody makes a gift. You take a gift. Everyone knows. So, many political persons enjoyed this benefit. And one was a great leader who received a gift of about 40 crores on the birthday. मैंने हेजर हर निकाल दिया on the birthday. I'm not using the word who. Birthday. Who must have suggested him? Who must have suggested that person? Obviously we, chartered accountant, because we read the law. We told the person, you can take a gift. So 40 crores worth of gift. Searches was conducted. Raids were done. The inquiries were made. The person said, I'll call my chartered accountant. They will tell you. The chartered accountant was called. He says, where from? He said, yeah, we have received gifts. He said, under the law it is allowed. Please give us the list. The list was prepared. And they were told that you have made a gift of such and such thing. One batch goes to the one particular group of persons. Have you made a gift? Yes, sir. How much amount? This much. Why? Our leader. What is your source of income? Sir, agriculture income. That can you do. Agriculture income, you can make a gift. Another group of persons were asked, have you made a gift? Yes. What is your source of income? Our income is also agriculture. But how? You don't have a land. Sir, we have taken a land on rent, on lease. So where is the problem in that also? Third group of persons were asked, have you made a gift? Yes. Source. Sir, we have taken a loan to give a gift. We have taken a loan to give gift. And the Supreme Court also has done that. It's agreed, no problem. This is the correct thing. Supreme Court also has given clean chit to that. The leader was not changed. The law was changed in 2009. That if you receive a gift from any person of a sum of rupees 25,000, you will be liable to pay tax on that money exceeding 25,000 if you receive. Otherwise, no problem. Must have asked the chartered accountant. Now what to do? So no problem. Tell everyone, nobody will make a gift of more than 25,000 to me on my birthday. 12 crore gifts were received on the birthday of 25,000 each. What poor people will do sitting here, the Joint Commissioner investigation, also he did it. Could he do anything? Nothing. 12 crore. The leader was not changed. The law was again changed. That you cannot receive a gift from any person or more than one person in aggregate for more than 50,000 rupees. Maximum 50,000 in aggregate of money. Ask the chartered accountant what to do now. No problem, sir. No problem. What happened? Don't take gift in money. They can give their kind, they can give their shares, they can give their jewelry, they can give their land, but not in money. The leader said on the TV, on my birthday, nobody will give me a gift of money. Rest is yours, decision. And a crown was put on the leader's head, worth 4 crore rupees, rubies, sapphires, and what not in it. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Leader could not be changed. The law was changed. That you cannot receive a gift of any movable property or immovable property or money exceeding this 50,000. I don't want to go into detail. Ask the chartered accountant. What now? He says, I read income tax when I was a student. Now let me check up in the express what is the law, because we have not read it. And nobody knows what is income tax sentence. Because there is a section. Is it complete, sir? No. After the section there is subsection. Is it complete? No. After the subsection there is clause. Is it complete? No. After the clause there is subclause. Is it complete? No. After the subclause? किसी ने पढ़ा हो तो पता, nobody has read it. There are many sections. After the subclause there is item. After the item there is sub-item. Then there is provided that. Provided further that. Provided also that. 18 proviso provided also that. And thereafter explanation number 1. Explanation number 2. You are looking for a full stop. The comma is after 6 line. This type of an income tax act we had. Still I said, Mr. Jagdishan, he said, learned person, I told him to read one section every day. He said, sir, I will not be able to understand. I said, read one section. After 4 hours he gives me a ring. Sir, 4 hours are devoted in one lecture. I said, no problem, but you have read one thing. Sir, listen to me. The last line written is, it is not applicable from assessment year 2010-11. We do not know whether the section is applicable or not applicable at all. Still we don't know. Please, heart of heart, you know all these sections that are applicable or not. So I told him, next time whenever you read, first see the last line. Don't tell me later that. So this is what is our Income Tax Act. He said, I will read it. The mention was movable property. He read the definition. Movable property includes one's shares, jewelry, archaeological collection, drawings, paintings, sculpture, work of art. He said everything is included. Suddenly he saw the meaning of jewelry. It was written, jewelry includes ornament made of gold, silver, platinum alloy consisting of one or whether containing precious or semi-precious stone, or precious or semi-precious stone, whether or not set in a furniture, utensils, etc. He said, yeah, wait. Bullion is not mentioned. You can take gift in bullion. The bullion was also later included. Now, what to do? Again asked, now everything is covered. He said, everything is covered. Let me go to Calcutta to find out. What else is there? Because the masterpiece, I tell you, the mind they have, you may say anything about them, but they apply their mind. He said, you are fool. What happened? You have not read the law. What is written there in section 56, section 2, clause 7? Where any sum is received by an individual or HUF from any person or persons, right? Sum is received by whom? Individual or HUF. Then only it is 5267. You are fool. Why don't you form a trust, private trust? And trust is neither an individual nor an HUF, and you become the beneficiary of that trust. Are you getting my point? So, trust was created. All trust all were created by them. Now, 5627 gone, 5627A gone. What has come is 56 section, subsection 2, clause X, 10. Now, what does it say? Everything is finished. Now, nothing is left to chances. What does it say? Where any person received from any other person or persons, any person, now it is not individual HUF, where any person can be individual HUF, firm, company, AOP, BOI, any person, where any person receives from any other person or person a sum of rupees exceeding 50,000, movable property, inadequate consideration, aggregate 50,000, adequate or gift 50,000, immovable property, done. Okay. Now, no scope. Even trust covered every first of trust is, but there are certain exceptions. One exception is gift from a relative. Absolutely no problem. You can still take a gift from relative. Nobody stops you. But it must be a genuine gift. A gift are never genuine. Okay. So you must take a gift. Relative. One is gift by inheritance or succession or by will. No problem. You can give to anyone. No problem. Third, gift on occasion of marriage. You have not understood. There is a still chance of that leader. That leader, I don't know which I mentioned. Gift on occasion of marriage. Next, please note. Gift by a local authority. No, gift in contemplation of death, gift by a local authority, let us not talk about. Now be serious now. you are going to have tough time. See, gift to or received by a charitable trust which is registered under 12AA or a trust which is approved under 1023C. Wait, gift to or received by. Please note the word. To is okay. Received by. To and received by. Individual funds. The trust must be registered. I went to the person concerned. Sir, what about these private trusts? Though during that, private trusts are created for the welfare of the minor children, maybe genuine trust for a disabled child or a mentally challenged child. We create a private trust. And you are saying only registered charitable trust can receive gift. What about a private trust? Can they receive gift? No, it will be not more than 50,000 in a year. How can it be possible? Oh, we left it. When the law was made, it was included gift received by a trust created by individual for the benefit of his relative. Now you can create a private trust by making a gift, but that should be for the benefit of relative and nobody else. What about the other private trusts which are not for the benefit of relative? They will all be liable for tax of receiving any money more than 50,000 or a movable property more than 50,000 or immovable property. All trusts will be covered. I'm not bothered about that. Think of a case. We have many temples, gurudwaras, churches, mosques in this country which are not registered under 12AA. 90% of these religious trusts are not registered under 12AA. Now, if they receive a gift of more than 50,000 donation, more than 50,000, they'll be liable to pay tax. Donation of 50,000 in a year, they will be liable because 90% gurudwaras, temples, mosques and churches have not got themselves registered under 12AA. They'll be all put into difficulty. They'll be all put into difficulty, let me tell you. But wait, we have one correction which we can do. There is a proviso given under section 12A. You should take the benefit of that. What does it say? If you are not a registered trust, you make an application for registration of the trust. Delay cannot be condoned. You make an application for registration. Once you make a registration for application for registration, you are worried. What about the past 6 years? Because past 6 years can be open because you have not got yourself registered and your income is taxable. What is your past 6 years? No worry. It says once you are granted registration of the current year, then if there is any assessment pending of the past year, that proviso says, you will be given the benefit of exemption for that previous year. And if there is no assessment pending, notice under 148 shall not be issued because of lack of registration. Please tell your clients they are going to be into a great difficulty from 1st April 2017 unless they make an application for registration of that charitable trust under section 12AA. Otherwise, they can do it up to 31st March. Otherwise, they are going to have tough time. They are going to have tough time if all are receiving gift for more than 50,000. Hardly any private religious trust is getting less than 50,000. They will all be put into difficulty because now that income is taxable in the hands of a trust because it is not a trust created for the benefit of the relative of the individual. So, sir, be careful about that part. I'm telling you, section 56 of section 2, clause 10 has stopped everything. So be careful about that. This is from gift received on or after 1st April 17. Be careful about that. Don't tell me later things can go other way around. Coming to now section 10, clause 38. You know that. Long-term capital gain from the transfer of shares, listed share is exempt provided security transaction tax has been paid on the date of transfer. STT, if you have paid, there is absolutely no capital gain on long-term capital gain on that. Agreed. Now they have added a proviso, inserted a proviso to section 10 clause 38, saying that notwithstanding anything given of the above clause, where there is a transfer of any securities only, and the same has not been acquired on or after 1/10/2004 by paying security transaction tax, then it will not be exempt. Wait. Up to last year, at the time of sale, you are supposed to pay STT, but at the time of purchase, there was no requirement that you should have paid STT. Now they have said, if you acquire any share which you have acquired on or after 1/10/2004, unless some exemption is given, they have given the long list of exemption. Unless some exemption is given, you will not be given benefit of exemption if you have not acquired their share by paying STT at the time of its acquisition. Many have not paid STT at the time of acquisition. Wait, 14 exemptions have come in the notification. Issue of share, where is the question of paying STT? Right share, where is the question of paying STT? Bonus share, where is the question of paying STT? ESOP, where is the question of paying STT? Merger, where is the question of paying STT? Demerger, they have given some exception. In those cases, if you have not paid STT at the time of acquisition, there is absolutely no problem. But in other cases, shell companies, first the company is formed by issue of share, then they are listed on a recognized stock exchange, then share of 10 rupee raised to 200 rupees, somebody takes the gain, somebody takes the loss. They are finished now. No exemption to them if you have not paid STT at the time of acquisition. Don't worry, if you have acquired those shares before 1/10/2004, there is absolutely no problem, because at that time STT was not there. So if you transfer those, it is exempt. But anyone who has acquired share on or after 1/10/2004 will not be given a benefit of exemption unless he falls in the notification issued for exemption. Please be careful. This is what is section 10 clause 38. Coming to the next point. Sir, somebody feel that we are guiding wrongly to the person. Somebody has mentioned that the person who knows the law can only guide a person. Who doesn't know the law cannot guide a person. You know, these charitable institutions sometimes have lot of money left with them. Sometimes lot of money left. They are not able to spend it. And they know that they will not be able to spend it in 5 years' time under 11.2. If they want to accumulate, there may be a difficulty in spending that. We have a system that a charitable institution can make a donation to another charitable institution, and it is treated as application. We suggested, somebody approached, he said, you have lot of money and you know that you have another charitable institution, donate to them. They can spend. Where is the problem? You are making a donation, it is called application of income. But we told them, even if you donate to them, what will happen? Please donate to them by corpus fund. When you donate for a corpus fund, yours is an application, and in his case, he will get an exemption under 11 subsection 1 clause D. Corpus fund is fully exempt. Are you getting my point? I make a donation to a trust for its corpus. I get an application, he gets exemption, he need not spend it. We told this much, but our clients are sharper than we are. Then from this corpus, he made a donation to another trust for the corpus, another trust for the corpus, and from there it has come back for the corpus. Have you understood my point? Corpus, corpus, corpus. But I made out of the current income, he got a corpus, he out of the current income gave to this one, he out of the corpus, and ultimately it has come to me. So no chance. This is not our mind, sir. This is a mind applied by our clients. They are sharper than we. Why we are saying, they will ask him, whenever there is a party, some chartered accountant standing, he will ask him, they will ask 10 chartered accountants, then will come to the his own chartered accountant saying, sir, he wants something, this, he says, it cannot be done. Sir, somebody told me that this can be done. And we are put into a difficulty. So they are clever than we are. I'm telling you, they're clever than we are. As well, they are business providers. They do the job and we are only business solution providers. We are not, we can't carry on a business because we visualize all types of problems. They do it, they come to us, sir, save us. I don't know, we have done it. Please do whatever you want to do. That is the difficulty. So, now the restriction. Now the restriction. The restriction is, if I make a donation to him for corpus fund, it will not be exempt. He will have to, you can make a donation for purpose other than corpus. Meaning thereby, if I take it an application, he should spend it. He should spend it. He cannot say, I am exempt under 11(1)(d), so I need not exempt. If he makes for a corpus, that person should spend it. So the law is over now. You can't make a donation to another charitable institution for corpus fund. It has to be for purpose other than corpus. So somebody will spend it. Clear, sir? This is also a very important point which you should keep in mind. Another point. Once you are granted registration under 12AA, you are granted, or you applied, you got a registration. After that, I have seen many people change their objects without informing the department. They do change their objects and they don't inform the department. Now the law is that once the registration has been granted to you, or it was then if there is a modification in the objects which is not in accordance with the object for which you are formed, in that case you will have to apply for fresh application of registration within 30 days of the modification. Please be sure, now modifications are subject to fresh registration. So don't take a chance of that thing. Third, Section 139(4)(c), what happens? It is compulsory for a charitable institution to file a return of income if it is total income before claiming exemption under 11 and 12 exceeds the maximum exemption limit. You have to file a return, it is mandatory. But if I don't file a return, what will happen? There is a penalty. The penalty is under Section 272A, subsection 2, saying that penalty is 100 rupees per day for each day of failure for not filing a return on time. 100 rupees per day. I don't file. What the maximum you can do? Impose a penalty. Sometimes it will skip, or even if it is a penalty. But they cannot say that exemption will not be given to me. Whenever I make whenever I get a notice under 42(1) or maybe under 148, I'll file a return. They will have to give me exemption. Only thing is, penalty can be imposed maximum 100 rupees per day. So people who are not filing, sometimes it skips also. The rule, please, if you do not file your return of income on or before the due date mentioned under 139(1), in case of a charitable institution covered under section 11 and 12, exemption under 11 and 12, the exemption will not be given to them. Exemption will not be given now. So be sure to file a return of income of a charitable institution registered under 12AA within the due date. Delay will put you into difficulty, exemption will not be allowed. So this is another point which is very, very important for charitable institutions. Be careful, don't take a risk of doing it. Next point. Sir, people were approaching us many times that I have an income of 50 lakh, I have an income of 60 lakh, 70 lakh, 80 lakh. Sir, I don't want to do any wrong thing. But tell me some suggestion, give me some suggestion, some tax planning. Where can I reduce my burden of tax liability? Please test us. So we used to say, okay, come here, sit down. You want to reduce? Okay. Buy a house property. We used to tell him. Buy a house property. But please, don't use your money. Borrow the money for buying a house property. And let it out. When you let out a house property, what is the maximum return? 0.5% even. Even not even 0.5%, less than that. But rate of interest is more. Obviously, when you claim interest, there will be a loss. Am I right? And this loss you can set off from your other income. And other side, your value of the property will go up. Appreciation is there. Forget about these days. This is the old case. So what happens? If you have borrowed at 8% or 9% home loan, 30% is financed by the government. Why? My loss is being set off from my salary income or other income. So loss set off. So how much is financed? Minimum tax 30 or maybe more than 30 plus surcharge if at all. So you will be, so it's not 9%, 30% less, 2.7 less, it will be only 6 point something. So it is better to borrow. And I used to claim that loss from my other head of income, right? Gone are the days. They have introduced an amendment in section 73, 1B, they have introduced saying that where there is a loss under the head house property, and loss is mainly due to interest. Am I right? Loss is mainly because there is a two deduction, only one is 30% and the rest is the interest. The loss is due to the interest. And now this interest will be allowed to be set up from other head of income subject to maximum of rupees 2 lakh. The balance is to be carried forward for 8 years. But next year will also be a loss. Next year will also be a loss. Next year will also be a loss. How will I be able to set up my loss? So the planning is over. Over the past 3 years, they have brought so many amendments in the Income Tax Act that now there is hardly any scope for tax planning unless we go to Calcutta to tell them to think over now what is the next step. Otherwise, I cannot understand what kind of a planning can be done. Hats off to them, how do they do it? But my point is,